Welcome to the Podium. This is a Stats and Fats production all about motorsports. I'm Jim Rouse. Let's get started. Welcome back to the Podium. This week we're wondering what's up with Team Penske at Indy, talking about the Daytona Road Course for NASCAR, bragging about Kyle Larson at the one and only, and reviewing the Podium's F1 standings after 6 races. Let's fire up those engines. What is going on at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? None of the 4 Team Penske drivers made the Fast 9 in qualifying. In fact, the highest driver is Joseph Newgarden in 13th. And 2 of Penske's former Indy 500 champions sit in the back 4 rows, including Simon Pagenaud and Helio Castroneves, of course, the part-time driver. So his ride struggles a little bit, but I just don't know what to say. Chevy has 1 car in the Fast 9. Somehow, Vyncke got it 4th in the Ed Carpenter number 21, but the Chevys just look down this year. And it's so surprising, too, because they're usually the ones that they struggle a little bit on the other tracks, but they end up taking over at Indy. So Honda just seems to have everybody's number this year, and it's not looking good for the Chevrolets. But Indy always has a way. I would say keep an eye on race trim this week, but it looks like those Andretti cars are the way to go. Scott Dixon, of course, is going to be up there, and Takuma Sato got a little lucky with his qualifying run, but maybe he's got a good car for the heat. Graham Rahal also made that Fast 9, so those are a couple guys to look out for, but I don't know what's going on with Team Penske there. NASCAR ran at the Daytona Road Course, and, it's a 3.6-mile course, so the drivers are going to get spread out, but it just did not look good, especially during the Xfinity race and late in the Cup race. And that's okay sometimes, but when you got 40 cars over 3.6 miles, it looks a little bit sparse compared to most of the other races that get run. So I don't know what to say about it. I think it was good racing, but that last chicane, if they could do something different with that, the one there before the start-finish line, get rid of it. I'd rather see them slow the cars down a little bit than have to run that silly chicane. That thing did nothing but ruin the flow of a good racetrack. Turn 1 restarts, though, destined for insanity, especially like in that Xfinity race where the 2 Mike Harmon cars stayed out, and that caused the 7 wide out of turn 1, all that runoff, and then they're able to come back on the track, so it gets crazy there. I think NASCAR's found a good course to run, but certainly shouldn't be a playoff track, and it certainly does not need to replace any ovals currently on the schedule. Also, NASCAR, please learn how to use the local yellows and how to let some things go where if cars are out of danger, let them be. Earl Bamber in the Xfinity race pulled that 21 car almost into the turn 3 grass. Nobody's going to hit him there. Please leave the race green because it ruined the flow in the end of the Xfinity race. Learn to use the local yellows. It's a 3.6 mile course, guys. Now, the one and only at the Knoxville Nationals. Well, it's supposed to be the Nationals, but it's not for statistical reasons and for the purse. But does it count? Of course not, but it should. Kyle Larson dominated it as we expected he would. Unfortunately, won't count as a Knoxville Nationals win, and it still wouldn't have felt right anyway. But just kind of silly. It's like they called this year's Indy 500 the Hoosier 500. Like, we all know what that event was supposed to be. Sure, some people weren't able to make it because of the restrictions, but, it does feel different without fans there, I will agree. But at the same time, man, we all know that Kyle Larson really won the Knoxville Nationals this year. In fact, he won 2 of the 3 races and finished second in the other one. $50,000 to Larson for winning the Saturday night feature there in the one and only. So good on Kyle Larson. Continues to dominate in the sprint cars this year. where he should be running, but you hope he gets to make it back to NASCAR just for the redemption story, but only if he really has made the changes he needs to. And finally, we'll update the Podium's Formula One standings now that they've run 6 Grand Prix. Remember, the scores for the drivers are based on their performance, accounting for where their car ranks. So, obviously, a 7th place in a Haas probably wins over Mercedes dominating to a 1-2 because it probably took a lot for that Haas to get up into 7th. Over the past 3 weeks, Daniel Ricciardo won the British Grand Prix. In fact, he finished 4th, but great performance from him. The following week for the 70th anniversary race, Max Verstappen won both in real life and in the Podium's F1 standings with a flawless drive. And then this past weekend's race for the Spanish Grand Prix, Lance Stroll looked to me to be the best driver. Even though he finished 4th, did a great job in the Racing Point, so he got the win in the Podium's F1 standings. Now, it's still Lewis Hamilton out in front of these standings with 90 points. However, he has 132 in real life, so you can see where the difference comes in, especially because he's not just winning every race. The standings behind him, Max Verstappen 14 back in 2nd, then Lance Stroll with 64. Lando Norris has 58 and Valtteri Bottas 56 points in 5th. Of course, he said in real life the championship is slipping away, and let's be honest, Valtteri, it was gone the second the British Grand Prix ended the way it did, with you out of the points because of the tire blow, and of course Lewis got lucky and was able to win. So hopefully something happens, you can get back in it, but looks like Lewis has taken all the records this year. Now it's time for some questions. Remember, you can send them in on Twitter at Stats and Fats or on Facebook to Stats and Fats Productions. Rory asks, how many champions do you think we'll see on the Formula One grid in 2021? Well, Rory, let's see. Hamilton and Alonso are confirmed, so there's 2 for you. You've got Raikkonen and Vettel on the grid right now, but first of all, I don't see anyone new winning it this year without a catastrophe for Lewis, so not like we're going to add anybody. I think Kimi seems ready to be done with Alfa Romeo, so let's count him as retired. Certainly don't see Rosberg or Button coming back, and I think you either have 2 or 3 depending on what Vettel does, and I say he does return next year. I'm not counting out Red Bull as an option for him just yet, but it does seem like the Racing Point, soon-to-be Aston Martin team, is the favorite for him. So let's give it 3. And Mark Jones asks, who is your pick to win the Indy 500? That's a good one. And like I said earlier, Andretti Autosport looks incredibly good right now. So I'd take one of the guys from that team. Of course, that's 6 cars, so that's taking the field almost. RHR getting his second 500 would make up for his bad luck over these past few years. Like they said, the giant anvil just continues to find its way to him. Hinch would be such a feel-good story. I'd hate for him to not win in front of the crowd, but still would be an incredible full-circle story for him. Alexander Rossi should probably have another one by now, but seems like he's the slowest of the big 4 there of the Andretti cars, and even Herta might be a little bit quicker than him. So I guess that leaves Marco Andretti, the pole sitter. He's looked solid this week, so why not break the curse this year? The only thing that would suck about that is what would possibly be the sweetest moment in Indy 500 history, maybe even motorsport history, would happen with no one in the crowd to celebrate. Because I'm just imagining it now. Marco wins, he stops on the front stretch like Pagenaud did last year. Michael's crying, he runs out there with them, Mario is there, and you get all 3 of them. Mario, of course, a legend of motorsport, Michael, an IndyCar legend, and Marco would then have that Indy 500 that immortalizes you, and to have all 3 of them there on the bricks would just be incredible. But alas, there'd be nobody there to celebrate with them. So it just seems like it's Marco's year, doesn't it? Now, let's head down to the podium. In 3rd place, Kaz Gralla. A remarkable drive from the young driver who in 48 hours went from being designated as the reserve driver to being cast into that famous number 3 car. Gralla had a nearly perfect debut. He kept the car clean, led some laps, even if it was during the pit cycle, and took home a top 10. The last driver to do so in his debut? How about Carl Edwards, who also pulled off the feat on short notice in August of 2004 at Michigan. Interestingly enough, that was also race 23 of the season. Great job, Kaz. In second place, Honda. Sweeping the front row at the Indy 500 is great. Taking 8 of the 9 spots in the Fast 9 is absolutely remarkable, and a testament to the power of their big 3, Andretti Autosport, Chip Ganassi Racing, and Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. Even the 4th row is all Honda cars, which will be helpful in their hunt to get back to glory in the 500. The only issue I can see may just be if they all trip over each other, but with so many horses in that stable, it shouldn't be an issue. And in first place, Andy Lally. Lally is extremely talented on the road courses, we know that. Multiple class wins at the Rolex 24. But to get 2 top 5s and a 15th place car, let's be real, with no practice is just remarkable. This isn't a guy who races every week in the Xfinity Series or even most weeks like some drivers. It's been over a year since he's been in an Xfinity car. Just remarkable. And props to the team, Our Motorsports, for putting him in the ride. That's a team to watch out for, and Lally is a guy I like to see drive a race-winning car because I think he'd get the job done. Great job to Lally and Our Motorsports for taking the gamble, and it paid off for them. Well done. Thanks for listening to The Podium. Remember to like and share the podcast with your friends. Don't forget you can find us on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, and more at Stats and Fats Productions. Check out our YouTube channel as well, Stats and Fats Show with Fitz. Talking Hardball with the Fats will post on Wednesday nights. Hat Trick Hockey uploads every Sunday afternoon. And our main show, the Stats and Fats Show with Fitz, drops every Friday night. Again, remember to tweet your questions to us on Twitter at Stats and Fats or on Facebook, Stats and Fats Productions. And don't forget to attack that next corner.